When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim your power. Constantly justifying your choices, values, or lifestyle to others can be draining and often unnecessary. It usually stems from a need for approval or fear of judgment. But the moment you realize you don't owe anyone an explanation for how you live your life, something profound shifts. You begin to live more authentically, trusting your own judgment rather than seeking validation. Your energy is no longer wasted on trying to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding you. Instead, you redirect that energy toward growth, peace, and purpose. People may initially react with confusion or discomfort when you stop explaining, especially if they were used to you justifying everything. But over time, they will either respect your boundaries or drift away. Both outcomes serve your well-being. Letting go of the need to explain doesn't mean you stop communicating. It means you choose when and to whom it's worth opening up. You learn to stand firm in your truth without defending it. This shift cultivates confidence, resilience, and inner freedom. Ultimately, when you stop explaining yourself, you stop shrinking to fit others' expectations and start expanding into who you truly are. When you stop explaining yourself to others, you begin to reclaim your personal power in a profound and life-changing way. Personal power is the ability to stand firm in who you are, what you believe, and the choices you make without feeling the constant need to justify them. Many people spend a large portion of their lives trying to make others understand or approve of their decisions, whether it's how they live, who they love, what career they pursue, or what dreams they chase. This behavior is often deeply rooted in fear. Fear of rejection, judgment, or not fitting into societal or familial expectations. But when you let go of this habit, something shifts inside you. You begin to act from a place of self-worth rather than self-doubt. Reclaiming personal power is not about arrogance or shutting people out. It's about recognizing that your life is yours alone to live. You stop giving away your energy by trying to convince people of your worth, your path, or your choices. Instead, you start to trust your inner voice more. You realize that not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. They're not meant to. The people who genuinely care for you will respect your autonomy without demanding explanations. This shift changes your relationships too. When you no longer feel compelled to explain yourself, you start attracting people who respect you for who you are, not for who they want you to be. You begin to surround yourself with those who support your growth rather than those who hold you back through criticism or constant questioning. You also start setting healthier boundaries. You learn how to say no without guilt and how to walk away from situations or conversations that drain you. This isn't about being rude. It's about choosing peace and self-respect over the exhausting cycle of over-explaining. Over time, this practice builds deep inner confidence. You start to realize that your value isn't tied to how well you can justify your actions to others. You don't need to provide a backstory for every choice or convince people that you've made the right decision. You understand that a right is subjective and deeply personal. You begin to take full responsibility for your life, owning your wins, your mistakes, and your growth without feeling the need to narrate them for external approval. This level of self-trust brings a quiet but powerful sense of freedom. You are no longer held hostage by others' opinions or expectations. You no longer fear silence in a conversation where someone disagrees with you. You become comfortable with not always being understood because you've understood yourself, and that self-understanding becomes your anchor. You become more decisive, more grounded, and more resilient. Challenges don't shake you as easily because you're no longer looking outside yourself for direction or reassurance. In this space, you also begin to hear your intuition more clearly. Without the noise of external opinions clouding your mind, you can tune into what truly feels right for you. You learn to distinguish between fear and instinct, between societal pressure and genuine desire. You begin to move with purpose rather than from a need to please. This is what reclaiming personal power looks like. Moving from external validation to internal alignment. Ultimately, when you stop explaining yourself, you don't just silence unnecessary conversations, you awaken a deeper relationship with yourself. You become the author of your story, the leader of your path, and the protector of your peace. And from that place, everything in your life starts to change. Living authentically means aligning your actions, choices, and words with your true self, your values, beliefs, and inner truth, rather than conforming to societal expectations, peer pressure, or fear of judgment. It is a commitment to living honestly and courageously, even when doing so feels uncomfortable or challenges the norms around you. Many people go through life wearing masks, adapting to what others expect of them, and making decisions that are more about pleasing others than honoring their own desires. Over time, this disconnect can lead to frustration, emptiness, or a sense that something is missing. Living authentically is the path back to wholeness. To live authentically, you first need to know yourself. This requires introspection and honesty, looking at who you are beneath the surface roles you play. It involves asking difficult questions. What do I truly believe? What do I want from life? What makes me feel alive? The answers may not always be convenient or popular, but they are yours. Embracing them is the foundation of authenticity. It means owning your story, your strengths, your flaws, and your past without shame or pretense. Once you become clear on who you are, the next step is to express that truth in your daily life. This doesn't mean rebelling against everyone or making dramatic changes overnight. It means consistently making choices that reflect your inner values. It could be as simple as setting boundaries in a toxic relationship, choosing a career that aligns with your passions, or speaking your mind even when it feels risky. These actions, though small on the surface, create a life that feels real and meaningful. Living authentically also involves vulnerability. When you show up as your true self, you open yourself to the possibility of criticism, rejection, or misunderstanding. But it's a risk worth taking because the alternative, living a life that isn't yours, is far more painful in the long run. Being authentic may not always be the easiest path, but it is the most fulfilling. It brings a deep sense of peace because you are no longer at war with yourself. You stop performing and start living. Authenticity is not about perfection. It's about being real. It's about admitting when you're wrong, changing your mind when you grow, and allowing yourself to evolve without guilt. It's about not pretending to have all the answers and being okay with the messiness of life. In fact, the more you accept your imperfections, the more authentic your presence becomes. People are drawn to realness. They can feel when someone is being genuine, and that energy creates stronger, more meaningful connections. One of the most powerful results of living authentically is freedom. You no longer feel imprisoned by the need to impress others or meet expectations that don't reflect your truth. You stop living a life dictated by a should so and start embracing one led by choice and intention. This freedom creates space for creativity, joy, and deeper self-love. You begin to attract experiences, people, and opportunities that resonate with your true self rather than those aligned with a false image. Living authentically is a continuous journey, not a one-time decision. Life will constantly present moments where you're asked to either conform or stay true to yourself. With each choice to remain authentic, you strengthen your self-respect and build a life that's truly yours. The more you live in alignment with your truth, the more peace and fulfillment you'll experience. And in doing so, you give others permission to do the same, becoming a light for those still trying to find their way back to themselves. Protecting your energy is an essential act of self-respect and emotional well-being. It means being mindful of where your time, attention, and emotional resources go and making conscious choices to preserve your inner peace. In a world that constantly demands your focus, through people, responsibilities, social media, and noise, it becomes easy to feel drained, overwhelmed, or disconnected from yourself. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's necessary. Without it, you risk burnout, resentment, and a life that feels like it's not your own. The first step in protecting your energy is awareness. You need to become tuned into what energizes you and what depletes you. This includes people, environments, conversations, habits, and even your own thoughts. Some relationships are uplifting, while others are emotionally exhausting. Some tasks leave you fulfilled, while others feel like a constant drain. Paying attention to how you feel after certain interactions or activities gives you valuable insight into what supports your well-being and what compromises it. Once you know where your energy goes, the next step is setting boundaries. This can be difficult, especially if you're used to saying yes to everything or feel guilty about putting your needs first. But boundaries are not walls, they're filters. They help you decide what you allow into your life and what you keep out. Saying no to things that don't serve you is not rejection, it's redirection. It allows you to preserve your energy for what truly matters, your goals, your health, your peace, and your growth. Protecting your energy also means limiting your exposure to negativity. This includes not only toxic people, but also the media you consume and the conversations you engage in. Constant exposure to bad news, gossip, or drama can weigh heavily on your emotional state. Choosing to step back from these influences doesn't mean you're ignoring the world. It means you're taking care of your mental and emotional health so you can show up more intentionally in your own life and for others. Another powerful way to protect your energy is to stop over-explaining yourself. When you constantly justify your decisions to others, especially those who don't have your best interests at heart, you give away your power. Not everyone is entitled to your reasons. Learning to stand in your truth without needing approval frees up immense emotional space and helps you stay grounded. Self-care plays a major role in energy protection. This isn't just about spa days or bubble bath, but about practices that nourish your inner world. This could include meditation, rest, creative expression, time in nature, or simply moments of silence. It also means honoring your body signals, resting when you're tired, eating when you're hungry, and slowing down when you're overwhelmed. You are not a machine. Your energy is finite and must be replenished regularly. Mindfulness is another key tool. Being present allows you to catch yourself when you're slipping into energy-draining habits like overthinking, people-pleasing, or worrying about things outside your control. When you're mindful, you can respond rather than react, which protects your emotional reserves. Ultimately, protecting your energy is about living with intention. It's choosing quality over quantity, quality in your relationships, your commitments, your thoughts, and your time. It's about showing yourself the same care and protection you often extend to others. When your energy is protected, you feel more balanced, focused, and alive. You become more connected to your purpose, more resilient in the face of challenges, and more capable of giving to others without losing yourself in the process. Establishing boundaries is a vital part of maintaining emotional, mental, and even physical well-being. It involves clearly defining what is acceptable and unacceptable in your relationships, your time, and your personal space. Boundaries are not about building walls to keep others out. They are about creating clear lines to protect your peace, values, and priorities. When you establish boundaries, you teach others how to treat you, and you affirm your own self-worth by refusing to tolerate what feels harmful or draining. Many people struggle with boundaries because they are afraid of being perceived as rude, selfish, or difficult. This fear often leads to people pleasing, overcommitting, and tolerating situations or behaviors that cause stress, resentment, or emotional fatigue. But the truth is, saying yes to everything and everyone often means saying no to yourself. You stretch yourself thin trying to meet others' expectations while abandoning your own needs. Establishing boundaries helps reverse this pattern. It allows you to honor yourself without apology. Boundaries can be emotional, physical, mental, or time-based. Emotional boundaries protect your feelings and mental health. For example, not engaging in conversations that leave you feeling small or manipulated. Physical boundaries involve your personal space and physical comfort, like choosing not to hug someone if you don't feel like it. Mental boundaries protect your thoughts and energy, like refusing to let someone constantly challenge or belittle your beliefs. Time boundaries help you protect how and where you spend your time, ensuring you're not constantly available at the expense of your own responsibilities and rest. The process of establishing boundaries begins with clarity. You need to understand your limits, values, and needs. Take the time to reflect on situations where you felt overwhelmed, disrespected, or taken for granted. These moments often signal where a boundary is missing or unclear. Once you identify your limits, you must then communicate them calmly, clearly, and without guilt. Boundaries are only effective when they are expressed. Expecting others to just know or to read your mind sets you up for disappointment and conflict. Communicating boundaries may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to putting others first, but discomfort is part of growth. It's okay to say things like, I'm not available after 8 p.m., or I'm not comfortable talking about that, or you need some time alone right now. These statements are not aggressive or selfish. They are honest and necessary. The people who truly respect you will understand, even if they need time to adjust. And those who react negatively often benefit from your lack of boundaries. Their resistance is not a sign to give in, but to stand firm. Enforcing boundaries is just as important as setting them. You can't simply state a boundary and then ignore it when it's crossed. You have to follow through with appropriate consequences, whether that means distancing yourself, ending a conversation, or taking time away from a person or situation. This reinforces your message and shows that you take your own well-being seriously. Over time, establishing boundaries builds self-respect, confidence, and emotional stability. It helps you form healthier, more respectful relationships and prevents burnout. You stop feeling like a victim of other people's behavior because you take ownership of what you allow into your life. Boundaries create space for peace, clarity, and genuine connection. They are not acts of separation but of self-care. When you honor your boundaries, you send a powerful message to yourself and the world that your needs matter, your time matters, and you matter. Choosing meaningful communication is about being intentional with your words, your presence, and your energy in conversations. It's the practice of going beyond surface-level exchanges to connect with others in ways that are honest, respectful, and impactful. In a world where quick replies, shallow interactions, and constant digital distractions are the norm, meaningful communication requires mindfulness. It asks you to slow down, listen deeply, and speak with clarity and purpose. This kind of communication doesn't just improve relationships, it also builds trust, understanding, and emotional safety. At the core of meaningful communication is authenticity. You speak not just to respond, impress, or win an argument, but to express your truth. You're not hiding behind masks or pretending to be someone you're not. Instead, you're showing up as your real self, even when that means being vulnerable. This honesty creates space for real connection. People can sense when you're being genuine, and that opens the door for them to be real with you in return. It's a powerful way to build mutual respect and emotional intimacy. Another important element is active listening. Often, we listen to reply, not to understand. Meaningful communication requires the opposite. It means giving someone your full attention without planning your response while they speak or interrupting to share your own story. It's about being present and showing the other person that they are heard and valued. Sometimes just being fully listened to can be more healing than any advice or solution. Choosing when and where to communicate is also part of making it meaningful. Not every conversation needs to happen immediately, and not everyone deserves access to your inner thoughts. Being selective about who you open up to helps you protect your energy and emotional well-being. You don't have to explain your feelings or decisions to people who won't respect or understand them. Instead, you can reserve deep conversations for those who offer emotional safety and mutual respect. This doesn't mean cutting others off completely. It simply means recognizing the different levels of intimacy and trust that exist in various relationships and communicating accordingly. Tone and body language also play a huge role. The way you say something often carries more weight than the words themselves. A calm, kind tone fosters trust, even in disagreement. On the other hand, sarcasm, hostility, or passive aggressiveness can undermine your message and damage relationships. Being aware of how you express yourself nonverbally, through eye contact, posture, and facial expressions can help ensure your communication feels consistent and sincere. Boundaries are another key part of meaningful communication. You are not obligated to engage in every discussion, especially those that feel toxic, manipulative, or unproductive. Learning to say, I'm not ready to talk about this, or let's revisit this later when we're both calm, is part of communicating with intention. It's not about avoiding conflict. It's about approaching conversations in a way that supports clarity and emotional health for everyone involved. Ultimately, choosing meaningful communication strengthens not just your relationships with others, but also with yourself. It teaches you to honor your voice, speak with intention, and listen with empathy. You stop wasting words on empty conversations or defending yourself to people who aren't truly listening. Instead, you begin to value depth over noise, understanding over reaction, and truth over approval. As a result, your relationships become more real, your presence more grounded, and your life more aligned with who you truly are. Experiencing inner freedom is about living from a place of emotional, mental, and spiritual clarity where your choices are no longer dictated by fear, guilt, or external pressure. It is the sense of peace that comes when you are no longer bound by the need for approval, the weight of past mistakes, or the expectations of others. Inner freedom is not dependent on your environment or circumstances. It's a state of being that arises from within. It allows you to move through life with lightness, authenticity, and self-trust. This kind of freedom begins when you stop seeking validation from the outside world. Many people spend their lives trying to meet the standards of society, family, or culture, chasing success, appearance, or acceptance in the hopes of finally feeling enough, but external validation is fleeting. No matter how much you achieve or how well you perform, there will always be another expectation to meet. Inner freedom emerges when you stop chasing these shifting goals and begin to define your worth from within. You no longer ask, do they approve of me? But instead, am I being true to myself? Letting go of the need to control everything is another key part of inner freedom. Control is often a response to fear, the fear of uncertainty, failure, or being hurt. But trying to control every outcome only leads to anxiety and exhaustion. Inner freedom comes when you accept that you cannot control others or predict the future. You begin to trust the process of life, making peace with the unknown. This doesn't mean being passive, it means letting go of resistance and learning to respond instead of react. With that shift, you begin to feel more grounded, even in the face of chaos. Forgiveness also plays a major role in experiencing inner freedom. Holding on to resentment, regret, or shame keeps you stuck in the past. It weighs down your spirit and limits your capacity to grow. True freedom comes when you forgive, not necessarily because someone deserves it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiving yourself is equally important. We all make mistakes, and learning to release guilt allows you to move forward with greater compassion and wisdom. You stop identifying with your past and start living from your present truth. Inner freedom also involves the courage to live according to your own values, even when it goes against the grain. It means making choices based on what feels right in your heart, not what others expect of you. This can be uncomfortable, especially when it leads to change, conflict, or disapproval. But the cost of betraying yourself is far greater than the discomfort of disappointing others. The more you choose your truth, the more you create a life that reflects who you really are. Living with inner freedom also brings emotional resilience. You are no longer easily shaken by others' opinions or life's unpredictability because your sense of self is rooted in something deeper. You stop reacting out of fear and start responding with intention. You don't need to explain or defend yourself constantly. You understand that not everyone will understand your path, and that's okay. You begin to release the pressure to be perfect and embrace the beauty of being real. Ultimately, inner freedom feels like coming home to yourself. It's the quiet confidence that you are allowed to live your life on your own terms. It's the ease that comes with self-acceptance, the strength found in authenticity, and the joy of being fully present. When you experience inner freedom, you are no longer a prisoner to your fears or the opinions of others. You are free to be, to feel, to grow, and to love without conditions. That is where true peace lives.